Hey everybody, I had 2 requests for videos, so we'll do them both right now. The first one was a fella named Gary asked me about how I like that 372, you know, like what the update after I've been running it. And to be honest with you, back in the job I did this summer, I was cutting a big white oak. It was bigger timber. I started using the 395, and I haven't really been using the 372 but to buck logs and stuff. So it works fine. I'm very happy with it. If you're cutting timber that's like 18-inch, you know, breast height and under, I think that's the way to go. You can run a 2-foot bar on it, man, you can just lay it to it. Good for bucking logs, a nice saw. But now that I've got accustomed to the 395 and its awesome torque, I don't want to quit using it. You know, I've got used to being able to really romp on it, lean on it, you know what I mean? And you can do that with the 395. So, but I'm very happy with the 372. So I still use it from time to time on certain stuff. And another fella, you have to excuse me because I lost you in the comments somewhere. I'll find you and make a mention here another day. But you asked about the sorts, you know, you're asking about where certain logs go and why they go here, why, you know, why, and you're asking about what makes me cut them certain lengths. Now, on these logs, on grade logs, like this, the pallet wood, it can be any length I think over 7 foot, well no, 1 mil takes stuff 4, as long as you can make 4-foot logs out of it. I won't put nothing on a truck under 8 feet. 7 feet, I'll squeeze a 7-footer out of it, but that's just pallet wood. So, but the grade logs, these are grade logs, and they're kind of covered with some snow, so I'm sorry. What makes me cut them longer? Now, when I get into, okay, so say I want to cut some 10s and 12s, I got a nice soft maple there, and it's nice diameter. So you got something that's, say, 16 inches and plus on the small end. If it's good and straight, you know, and it's clean, I'll be cutting 12s out of that. Unless I have a request for 14s and 16s, I do not typically cut them. Sometimes the mills will request those, and we will cut them, but very, you know, not too often they want 14s and 16s. It's an oddball. The 16s maybe, but the 14s are a little odd. So, and it's hard to get good clean logs out to 16 feet unless you're cutting some big chunky timber. So, but like this one here, this is a big red oak, and it was big and fat. So I cut a 12 out of that, big, fat, straight, and clean. So that got 12 knocked out of it. Now you start getting into some of your smaller logs, like this cherry here, you're like 12 to 14 inch. The longest I'll go on something 12 to 14, unless it's gun barrel straight and it's something that's paying really nice, is usually about, you know, 10 footers is what I'll make out of that, 10s. But what the deciding factor in what I cut, and it's not unless a mill calls and asks for, you know, specifically, we need 10-foot cherry or we need 12-foot cherry, I will, you know, the deciding factor to me is straightness and how clean the log is. You know, obviously you want to cut for grade. You know, say you have a tree, let's look here, this maple's a prime example. All right, there's this thing was gun barrel straight, it's nice and straight. There's a knot coming out of the side here. Now I could have cut that 8 foot and I'd still been in that knot, so that's why I didn't cut it 8, I cut it 12, because either way that log's going to grade the same. I can't really see the other side, we'll say it's 3-sided or 2-sided, whatever, but either way that log was going to be the same grade whether I cut an 8 or I cut a 12. Okay, so that's why I made this a 12, or you know, I could have made it a 10, but I imagine the reason I made this a 12 is because I was utilizing a little more of the tree. There's no sense of wasting that 2 feet. Now, if I have a log, let's say, we'll just use this again as an example. Let's say from here to there was 8 feet, and I could cut that defect out. So I just took my log, it was two-sided, or a number, you know, a number 1 or a number 2, and bumped it up to a number 1 or a prime because it's dead clear, you know what I mean? And I'll get more money for that footage. It's more economical to cut the 8-footer and then jam this into pallet, or maybe cut another 8, you know, of a lower grade or something. That's why I do that the way I do. You know, you want to cut for grade. Now, like you look at this ugly cherry. This will go as scrag because it's bumpy as all beat. But let's say just for craps and giggles here, let's say from there to there. Okay, I lay this on the deck and I look at it and I can cut an 8, but then I can't quite get another 8 out of it. So it's like, you know, 15 feet. What I'll do is I'll cut that 12 out of this, if it's straight enough, obviously, because then I'm not wasting that much wood. Or I might cut a 14 if it's not double-hearted. Just because you don't, you know, you're going to have that block of wood there that's going to get wasted. You might as well send it and get paid for a little bit of it at least, you know. And then, like this cherry here, I cut that 8. Big reason I cut it 8. It's chunky, but it's got some, you know, it's pretty bowed, some sweep. And then it's got this big knot coming out of it, and then it was double-hearted up here, if I remember. There was a Y right here. This tree forked out 3 different ways. So we cut it at 8 because double hearts will knock your grade down, and because of the swell on it. But it doesn't really matter. Like I said, every once in a while they'll call. They don't like you to send all 8-footers. I got a little hollered at for that just recently on this job. And it wasn't that I was cutting only 8-footers. I mean, I can't stretch the logs, you know. I mean, it's just, that's what I was able to get. And it just so happened that I was getting low on the point where a lot of the logs on the truck were an 8-footer, so that, you know, they noticed it and, hey, we don't want that many 8-footers. But now you look here, these are all 10, this is all 10 and 12-foot stock. This has probably half a dozen 8-footers in this pile, and everything else is 10s and 12-foot stock. And then I got a little bit of 10s back there, 1 or 2 12s, and the rest is 8s. So this next load's only going to be about 25% of it will be 8-foot logs, so they'll like this load. And then the one I sent out the other night was the same way, a lot of 10s and 12s. Unfortunately, sometimes that's just how they go. I mean, you get into a certain patch of timber, or a certain you know, just the way that the timber grows, you know, your merchantable height will be not the same, won't be good, because it's just the way it was cut in the past. But then you get into another section of timber, the stuff's, you know, tall as can be, and it is straight, and you can cut lots of 10s and 12s. You know, I've had some jobs where you get on and you cut. This job we were doing some poplar, great big poplar, just cutting 5 12s out of every log before I got into anything that was scrag. It was beautiful wood, gun, you know, just arrow straight, nice stuff. So, but that's, we're letting this warm up. The darn Prentice would not get going this morning. I don't know why. It was, I think it's because it rained and then it got cold. That, I hate that so much. God, do I hate that. It'll pour down rain. Like we had, I think, almost 2 inches of rain, 1.5 inches of rain Thursday into Friday. Then it got cold, and that rain gets into everything and it freezes. It just thickens everything up, as they say. But Chip and Crew is not here because the buncher's broken. They don't have any more wood cut. That last video I put up, they were cutting a tree up there. It's the last tree cut in that video, and if you listen carefully in that video, he cut that oak and it was a hard leaning backwards, and it looked like he almost lost it, and it's because he almost did. And I mean, it was, we really, you know, didn't know whether we were going to cut that or not, but he went after it, did a good job, he got it down. The only thing that happened on the way down, that tree slipped. It slipped down. I don't know how to explain this. What happened when he cut that tree is when he cut the tree, it popped off the stump and the jaws didn't have it all the way, and it slid down, and the butt was like hung up on this edge right here. So the log was out here, so it was leaning back this way further. So like, say you had that log and then you lay the head over like this, it's actually up. So when the head stops, you know, you came all the way out with the pin and it stopped, you had all that leverage, slam that thing like this, and he didn't let it go quick enough. I think he was just real focused on it not going the wrong way. And what happened was, if you listen to that video, right before that tree slaps the ground, you'll hear a pop. Almost sounds like when you split the trunk of a tree real bad. It's like a crack, you know. That was the pin right there. He sheared that 3-inch pin. So when that pin broke, didn't actually break right there. He went up to move a log later on, and he grabbed it, and the pin wiggled loose and popped free, and the head swung down, and it cut 2 of these hoses off, broke that pin, and bent the dog bone up. So that all had to get rebuilt. You know, it happens. Unfortunately, it felt bad. I don't necessarily think it was his fault. I just think it was an unfortunate how it all happened. You know, it was high nerve situation. Nobody got hurt, and that's the best thing. So, but that's it. Like I said, I like the 372. I'm a 395 man now because I like the power. I'm addicted to it. And that's some of the grades on the logs. And oh, the veneer. I was going to send these for veneer, but I'm not now. Because after they sit, you see that highlighted ring right there? And you see that out. You got the different color rings. They would have rejected that. So here's that one there. You can see that light, the different, oh, falling over. The difference in coloration in the rings. And then for veneer logs, we can cut 8s, 10s, 12s. We actually cut them to length. Now I used to leave them long, like if you had a log with 2 in it, you would cut it at like 21 feet or 22 feet. But now it's, we cut them down because there's such a high flow, they want them cut ahead. But always leave a foot of trim on your veneer. So if you got a 12-foot veneer log, cut that thing 13. Or you're an 8-footer, cut it 9. You know what I mean? Maybe even 9'4". Don't be afraid to leave a little bit, because they like to slice off there and look at it and roll it and, you know, find all kind of reasons why they can't pay you with, you know, why it's not this much and it's only this much or whatever. But you always want to leave a lot of trim. You know, that helps. It really does. Because like this one, you leave a lot of trim, you can cut these 2 out. These 2 little pin knots, 3 inches off that log, clean up just nice. So, but there's only 3 possibles on this job, so that's why we're not that worried about it. But alright, I hope that clarifies some things up. You guys got any more suggestions, feel free to drop them in. Shoot me a message. I'll do my best to do whatever I can and explain it however I can. Like I said, that's not how everybody does it, but this is just how I do it in this area. Any questions, or if there's anything I didn't answer, please feel free. You know, I'll try to send me a message. I'll try to explain it, or you know, or just whatever. Everybody stay warm. Looks like we're gonna warm up the end of this week, and hopefully the next video will be from the next gravy patch. We'll see. Have a good one, everybody. Stay safe and have fun.